Hello. So while I'm on my lovely walk this morning, I thought I would talk about body fat set points, aka how to kind of get the maintenance body fat at a lower percentage and to be able to actually maintain it there. And like the easiest way to do it, because a lot of the time we make things way too complicated and way too hard for ourselves and do things the hard way instead of just simply doing things the much more simple and easier way. And I mean, if there was an easier way, wouldn't you want to do it? So talking on that, talking on also a post I put up the other day where I mentioned that we as fitness professionals need to be very careful with how we put messages out to the general population, because like, I'll give an example, like Jordan Syatt, for example, and other people out there that say, oh, just eat the donut, or they'll say it's just a treat, doesn't matter, just enjoy it, or they'll say if you want the pizza, eat the pizza. And we need to be so goddamn careful with the way that we promote those messages. And it's another reason why I friggin' hate the IIFYM community. Like, flexible dieting works, keto works, intermittent fasting works. Like, all of these methods work if you are in an energy deficit. But the thing is, what's a healthier approach, and what's the easier approach, and what's something you can actually sustain. And that's what I'll be talking about on this ramble. So there was a study, and in this study they had the obese people and the lean people that were both fed a bland diet. Like, it was stripped of all the like flavors, the like sugars, the fats, and the salts. It was just a bland diet, and they were told to eat to satiety. Now, the lean group, they found that they maintained their weight. They ate to satiety and no body fat gain, no body fat loss. And now the obesity group, when they were told to eat to satiety, lo and behold, they actually lost weight, and quite a lot of weight in such a short period of time, because what they found was that they were satisfied with it, like they weren't actually hungry, and they were satisfied with the food intake they were having at a much sooner rate. And like, that kind of begs the question, well, what are we doing wrong here? And if obesity actually makes you want more food or makes you hungrier, why would they be doing that? And that's exactly the point, because a lot of the time those who are obese have a lot of stored energy, and the only reason that they usually keep eating and eating more food is because they crave more dopamine type of foods, as in foods that make their brains go on high alert. So in this, they kind of try to make it in simple terms. In this, they sort of mentioned the whole, well, if there's fats, if there's sugars, if there's a lot of carbs, and if there's salt all in the same food, they're all like dopamine type of foods, and, well, dopamine ingredients, and you'll start craving more of those, especially in the environment we're in, because our brain is in a scarcity mindset. So if we're in an environment where these things are more readily available and we know they're there, our brain's going to make us want them more, which is why you see a lot of the time our westernized world, like America, the UK, Australia, as we age, you'll see that a lot of the time we end up putting on fat and only getting fatter and fatter. But then you look at other countries like Japan, like China, they don't really get to that stage. They hit a certain point and then that's where they stay pretty much. So what's the cause behind this? And it's simply the way that they eat and what's in their environment. Like, the westernized world is full of highly palatable surroundings, and you look at places in Asia and it's like most of what they eat is very unprocessed, untouched by mankind types of food, because the types of food that make it easier for us to maintain a lower body fat maintenance are those that are close to nature, those that are high in fiber, high in water content, like vegetables, like fruits. And you don't find many like natural ingredients and natural foods that are a combination of fat and salt and carbs. So, for example, if you look at something like chips or fries, whatever you call them, if you take out the fat and you take out the salt, you have pretty much boiled potato. And that is a lot more satisfying than having French fries. And then think of anything else that you have. For example, if you have ice cream and you take out the sugar and the fat from the ice cream, that's not going to be as palatable and as craved as an ice cream full of sugar and fat. So thinking about that, it makes you wonder, well, why are we like, well, why? And it's like, this is why we need to be careful with the way that we say IIFYM, because the more that we have of certain foods, the more our brain starts to make us crave them. And as we have that higher availability to the highest like satiety foods, as in those that lower satiety foods and higher craving foods, then our body's set point adjusts upwards and we get less satiety from eating, because, as I said, our brain is in a scarcity mindset. So it's actually really interesting when people say just have that donut or IIFYM this and that, because a lot of the time people saying that have done what they've been doing for years. They have a lot of nutrition education behind them. They are able to modulate their intake because they know like the nutritional information of their foods. They practice discipline and self-control, but a lot of the general public don't have that yet. And the more that you expose yourself to these certain dopamine foods, the more you start having cravings, the more you start to have psychological hunger and all that other stuff. And other ways that you can actually reduce your body fat set points by getting more physical activity, because that assists your insulin sensitivity. Another one is reducing your psychological stress, because everything is originating from the brain. So that's something to keep in mind too. But I sort of hope that this gave you some sort of idea on why we eat certain ways, why we think certain ways, and why it's so hard for some of us to actually drop body fat, or why we have like this artificial hunger or all these cravings and stuff. And it's pretty much like reps, because it's not just like you can flick a switch by having a more bland diet. It's like reps and reps of exercise pretty much. So yeah, keep that in mind, and I hope that it helps.